Good morning. Good morning, all of you. Myself, Dr. Lakshmi Devi, a professor and HOD, Department of ECE, St. Peter's Engineering College. Now I'm going to cover the basic concepts of electronic devices and circuits. Electronic devices and circuits is an actually a first subject for electronic students or the fundamental subject for electronic students. In some of the universities, it's a given in the first year level. In some universities, it's a given in the second year first semester. Now, in the second year first semester, the basic electronic subject, one of the basic electronic subjects are electronic devices and circuits. And this, first, as a first year students enter into the second year, we should know first what's meant by the electronics and what's meant by the devices and what's meant by the circuits. Then what's the reason and what are the prerequisites of these subjects and what are the main objectives of these subjects and what are the outcomes of these subjects. It's very essential to know as a first learner of this particular electronic devices and circuits. Universities can define its own objectives as well as outcomes for each and every subject. But before entering into the subject and objectives and outcomes of this, here I would like to give first, in order to bridging the concepts of second year inter as well as first year BTech to the second year first semester of electronic devices and circuits. Let us see what we have completed already in the first year level of BTech in your physics, then what we are continuing in this second year first semester of electronic devices and circuits. So already we come across a basic atomic structure in the first year BTech. Matter consists of atoms. Each atom can consist of electrons, photons as well as neutrons. So neutron appears as a center as well as neutrons as well as photons appears in the center. Electrons are moving around this particular orbits. So in this particular orbits, electrons are revolving, and based on this particular structure, we come across in what way the bonds are existing between the electrons and photons and neutrons, and which are moving particles and which are actually the stationary particles. These are all the details we already come across in the interlevel. But let us see here electronics. What's meant by electronics? Electron concept mingle with a mechanics, it leads to the electronics. The movement of electrons, whenever you are dealing, that concept we will call it as an electronics. Then what's meant by the devices? These particular electronic movements where we can observe, which are useful for controlling the power or controlling the current, that mechanisms or that particular concepts, we'll call it as actually the devices. The movement of electrons, the controlling of the movement of electrons, where we can do that, we'll call it actually the devices. We'll call it as devices. So electronic devices over. Then what's the circuits? Whenever we are building a blocks of these devices, that particular structure will call it as actually the circuit. So now we know what's meant by the electronics, what's meant by the device, and what's meant by the circuit. In general, how we are going to show the difference between the circuit and network. Nowadays, every one of us using mobiles, we know what's the network in the mobile, whether we have the network or not. In such a way, just we can compare the availability of the network. So what's the basic difference between the network and circuit? Let us see here. Then we can enter into the basic concepts. Later on, we can see the concepts of actually the subject electronic devices and circuits. Let us see in this case circuit and network difference. Circuit may or may not consist of an active source, but network definitely can consist of an active source. Let us see the difference exactly means circuit may or may not consist of an active source, but network definitely consists of an active source. Let us Let me share my feeling regarding the network in order to understand. First year, I mean second year, first time learners of these electronic devices and circuits. I'll consider as a teacher mine as an active source in the class because I'm injecting something to your brains. I'll feel all of my students are basic elements. You know, what are the basic elements we have in this circuits? Basic elements, or basically we'll consider the three elements: resistors, inductors, capacitors. You know, each and every basic element have its own properties. A resistor, it's having its own property, means which can opposes the flow of current, or which can opposes the flow of electrons. We'll call it as an actually the resistor. In such a way, if I'll feel some of my students, like you people, some of you are resistors, and some of you are capacitors, and some of you are inductors. You know, each one have their own capability, and each one have their own grasping and their own intelligence. We may not compare one student by another student. In such cases, similarly, this all the components basic property might be the same, but it's have its own specific thing to exhibit, specific thing to operate whenever connected in the circuits. In the similar way, so capacitors and inductors having its own property of first receiving the energy, storing the energy, and store that energy to some time. Then whenever there is a possibility, it can recharge that. That means charging and recharging capabilities. Capacitors and inductors can have charging and recharging properties, charging and recharging capacity or recharging capabilities. In that cases, I'll feel as some of you have very excellent talents, like while covering the topic by the teacher, you are charging your brains. Whenever there is a chance to recharge, I mean recharge in the sense, whenever there is a chance to reproduce the things on paper, definitely you are going to reproduce excellently once you have received that concepts. Okay, so that's a basic difference between the resistors, capacitors, and inductors, who may be having excellent receiving capability as well as reproducing capability, storing capability. That particular candidates I'll consider as either inductors or capacitors. But resistors, in the sense, they're not even allowing the things covered by the teacher, and they may not store the things covered by the teacher. So they haven't any storing capability and proper receiving capability also. Such students, I'll feel it as an actually the resistors appears in my class. Okay, let us see. If I am giving supply to all of you as considering you people as elements in my network, so if I am delivering correct speech, if I am delivering correct power to all of you as an elements, then with this a correct amount of current can pass throughout the class. If I feel this is a class as a network connecting with teacher as an active source and passive elements like you people, and all the elements are connected to the teacher, then definitely current can pass. When there is a possibility to pass the current in the circuits or networks, whenever whenever there is a chance to have closed path exist in anywhere else, then only the current can pass. Or otherwise, no chance to pass the current in any of the circuits. If the circuit is break up with any chance, there no chance to flow the current. Similarly, if any one of you are not concentrating properly, there is no question of receiving the things, there is no question of any fire can appears in your hearts or brains. So you should be connected with the teacher whenever there is a chance to have closed bond existing in between the teacher to the student, then only the current can pass, that itself enlighten your knowledge. Okay, so that's very essential while sitting in the class and receiving the things by the teacher. So each student should know what's the responsibility of a student while sitting in the class, what purpose we are sitting in the class, what purpose we are receiving all these things. Okay, so that's the main intention of as a teacher, I would like to give this basic introduction of electronics, as well as the basic need for components in the circuits. Okay, see next, China. See there. Okay. So now let us see here. Electronics. Already we have completed what's an electronics, what's a device, and what's a circuit. Now let us components also be discussed. Resistors, capacitors, inductors, like this components are also be discussed. Now we should feel which components you are, in what way you can receiving the things, in what way you can express and exhibit the things, either in case of exams or in case of viva voce, like that. Just you can decide yourself. My intention after completion of this circuit importance, as well as devices, as well as electronic devices and circuits is actually the title of our particular subject. Electronics devices and circuits. This is the title of our subject, electronic devices and circuits. Okay, so now we know what's meant by the electronics, what's meant by the device, and what's meant by the circuit. So circuit, whether it may consist of active source or without active source, we'll call it as a circuit. But whenever we are dealing with the networks, definitely it consists of some active source. Okay, so let us see, already might be come across what are the different types of active sources. So active sources means either it may be a current source or it may be a voltage source. Okay, in that active sources, current and voltage sources, again we have the two types of active and passive sources, like passive sources and active sources. Like in the sense, practically in what way we can make use of these particular sources, like ideal and non-ideal. Non-ideal in the sense practical cases. So ideal voltage sources, practical voltage sources. Similarly, for the currents also, ideal current source and practical current sources. These concepts again we are going to reveal in the networks theory concepts. In the second year first semester itself we have NATL subject, network analysis and transmission line subject. There we can again reveal all these things of active sources, passive sources, like that, regarding voltage as well as currents. Okay, then let us see here first basic materials. Under these basic materials, which one we are giving actual importance in the total electronics. Okay, before going to the materials, I would like to cover one more important concept here, that is, what's the basic difference between the electronics and electrical? Might be have you come across the difference while choosing the branch, whenever you can step into this BTech course, which department, either it may be electrical department or electronics department you have to choose, like ECE and EEE. So might be with so many confusions, you got admitted into this BTech electronics and communication engineering and electrical and electronics engineering as a EEE department. So what is the role of electrical student and what's the role of electronic student? Have you come across any cross check like that till now? Might be no. The reason is you not yet enter into the basic subjects of either electricals or electronics. That's the reason till now you didn't think of it. What's the basic difference? Now let me say that particular point clearly here. See, the power generation, generating of a power with a different ways and different resources can be taken care by the electrical department. Okay, generating of power concepts they are going to learn in the electrical department. While coming to the electronics, after generating the power by the electrical engineers, how you are going to control to the maximum extent that generating power is the main task of an electronics engineers. Okay, that is, controlling mechanism will take care of it as an electronics engineers. Generating mechanism of a power, they'll take care of electricals, and how that particular power can be generated with a different what's so called different equipments or different ways, that will be taken care by the mechanicals even. See, there is no chance to have any separation from one department to the another department in the engineering field. So we're all together, first civil department, then mechanical, then electrical, then electronics. Later on we have the different subjects or different courses, different programs in the engineering. So electronics is the basic subject and basic department we have. It's very essential to learn the basic concepts of the electronics and communication engineering concepts. So this EDC subject is the basic electronic subject. That's why now we know the difference between electrical engineering role as well as electronics engineer role. So after knowing this, what's the main aim of electronics engineers now? How we are going to control the power generated by the electrical people. So while giving importance to the controlling, then definitely we should think of it. What are the different controlling mechanisms we are having? Is it? Now let us see. The basic materials, what are the different basic materials have you come across in the physics of either in the inter or in the first year BTech? Basically, there are three different types of materials. Okay, the matter, that means totally three different types of materials in the sense for my insulators, semiconductors, as well as conductors. These three basic materials you come across already in the inter as well as in the first year physics of BTech. So, in what way we can define these particular materials and how these materials uses we have in the controlling of power in the electronics domain, that we can see in today's class. Let us see in what we can define actually the insulator. That is a very poor conductor of electricity. A very poor conductor of electricity is called an insulator. Okay, very poor conductor of electricity. That is, even though we are increasing the temperature of atmosphere, but there is no question of any electricity to be allowed to pass through with this insulating materials. That material will call it as an insulators. Now coming to the actually conductor. Suppose conductor means where we have an excellent conductor of electricity is called actually conductors, or you can say the metals. Okay, metal should have very excellent conducting capability even at 0 degrees of temperature. Okay, even at 0 degrees of temperature, that materials will call it as conductors. Now let us see what's actually the semiconductor. That is a substance whose conductivity lies in between insulators and conductors, will call it as actually semiconductor. The name itself can reveal what's meant by semiconductor. It's having some conducting capability like actually conductor, and it's having some property which may not allow electricity to pass through it like an insulator. That's why the properties of semiconductor lies in between insulator and conductors. That means at 0 degrees temperature, the semiconductor acts as an insulator. With increasing of temperature, that semiconductor can act as a conductor. That's why the property of semiconductor lies in between insulator as well as conductor. So these three are basic materials we have in the total matter. So based on these three materials, which one is preferable for the electronics? Which one is preferable, and what's the reason for preferring that particular material here? See, what's the reason for actually insulators doesn't have any electricity to pass through it? What's the reason for conductors should have without any temperature effects, how it is allowing to pass electricity through it? And with increasing of temperature, how it is possible to allow electricity to pass through it, are controlling the flow of electrons to pass through it in semiconductors. If you think in this way, then you come to know that exactly where we have actually the better controlling, either insulators, conductors or semiconductors. That means if you are good enough on understanding, if you are good enough on exhibiting, good enough on presenting, on writing, then definitely the involvement of the teacher is very essential to control you people, and the same you can exhibit. That means I feel most of my students are actually the semiconductors and few are excellent categories like a conductors and few are an insulators. Similarly, in general, I'll take example of my students only for whatever the topic I would like to deal, because everything is in our hands only. The subject is nowhere else actually in the outside world. It's in I mean, it's inside of our body. In we are considering each and every concepts of an electronics pertaining to the human body. Let us see first. Human body is nothing but electromagnetic cell. How we can feel it as an electromagnetic cell? Let us see. See this arm is an a positive terminal and this arm is an actually the negative terminal. Suppose if you want to charge your body, if you want to charge your body, once you consider it's an electromagnetic cell, if you touch these two palms together, okay, if you touch these two palms together means by attaching these particular fingers of these two palms like this, then how much time you're going to keep your posture like this, that much of time your body gets energized. According to our Samskriti, would like to, in general, whenever we are approaching to the god or whenever we are approaching to the gurus like our teachers, would like to actually respect to the teachers by closing our palms together like this. So the reason, while closing these palms together, then automatically we are actually saluting our masters. Through that, our body will energized. This is the basic reason of closing, hands together and giving respect to our teachers. Okay, because body is an electromagnetic cell. Whenever we are closing our palms together, automatically the body will gets energized. Whether you can believe it or not, please try to habituated. Whenever your gurus, whenever your elders are appearing in front of you, better to close touch to your palms together and give respect to them. Automatically your body will energized. Or otherwise, whenever you are sitting just observing something, if you have placed your fingers like this, so because of this also the body gets energized. Okay, so this all the things are actually the mechanism of if you mechanism of flowing charges from this particular hand to this particular hand. You can experience by closing your arms together, and the body will get energized. Okay, this is very very good posture. Because of this COVID-19, even we are not giving any shake hands, and we are giving just this type of salute only to the others. This is very good culture. How to inculcate this type of culture in anywhere else wherever you are going. Okay, now let us see. Coming to the insulators, and in what we have the energy band diagrams. Energy band diagrams or energy band structures of these basic materials of insulators, semiconductors and conductors. Let me write these things first here. In what we have energy band structure of insulator. Let us see here energy band structure of insulator. Suppose if you are representing like this a rectangular box, and dividing this rectangular box to three regions. This one is a covalent bond, this one is valency bond, this one is a forbidden bond. Okay, so while representing this three levels, sorry, this one is conduction band, this one is conduction band, not covalent, this one is conduction band, this one is a forbidden band, this one is valence band. Valence band. So in this, the gap lies in between this particular conduction band to the valence band is very large. It's very large in the sense, after drawing another figure, then you come to know that whether it is large or not. So this forbidden gap energy, how you are defining that forbidden gap energy, how you are denoting means E suffix G. The forbidden gap energy in case of insulators is an equivalence to 6 electron volts. 6 electron volts. The energy here we are representing with the electron volts. That is forbidden gap energy EZ is equals to 6 electron volts. The conduction band, valence band gets separated by a large spacing in between. That particular band we will call it as the forbidden band. In this forbidden band, the energy of this forbidden band is 6 electron volts. Because of this, a large forbidden band separates this filled valence region and vacant conduction region. This one in general, valence band is filled with an electrons and conduction band is free from electrons. That's the reason we'll call it as valence band is filled region with electrons and conduction band is an actually vacant of charged particles. We'll consider a vacant conduction band. There is no any electrons presence in the vacant conduction band. Now let us see, this forbidden band is an actually the separating region in between the valence band to the conduction band. Okay, with energy gap of 6 electron volts. That is a totally insulator. So crossing of this 6 electron volts and energy particles like electrons shifting from this valency band to the conduction band is an actually very difficult. Okay, it's very difficult in the sense it's not so easy, even though whatever the voltage you have applied and whatever the temperature conditions you have given to this particular materials, it's not possible to have a shifting of an electrons by gaining its sufficient energy from valence band to the conduction band. That's the reason at different circumstances or different applied voltages, there is no question of any conduction which is taking place or any electricity can pass through these materials. That's the reason insulator doesn't consist of any electricity. That means even though with the large temperatures, there is a chance to have some sort of electricity, but that is very poor electricity. That's the reason very poor conduction appears in case of insulators, that too with very high temperatures. There is a possibility, but it is not countable. That's the reason you can say it's very poor conductive material is insulators. Okay, then coming to the actually semiconductors. Semiconductor, that means a substance for which the width of the forbidden energy or width of the forbidden energy region is relatively very small. The forbidden energy, this forbidden energy in case of semiconductors is relatively small compared to the insulators. So, in what way we have that particular forbidden energy in the sense? Let us see here. The same structure I am drawing, but the forbidden energy lies in between the valency band. This one is the valency band, this one is the conduction band, and this one is the forbidden band. The forbidden band lies in between conduction band to the valence band is very small. What's that? This one is an actually forbidden gap energy is EZ is equals to 0.6, that is 0.6 electron volts. Okay, the forbidden, 0.6, 1 electron volt. Here not 0.6, actually 1. It's a EZ is equals to 1 electron volts. Okay, so as compared to this insulators, in case of semiconductors, the forbidden gap energy is 1 electron volt. Let us see, with this reducing of forbidden gap energy in between the valence band to the conduction band, it's very easy to break up this band either with increasing of temperature or with increasing of electric voltage which we are going to apply for this semiconductor materials. Okay, that's the reason whenever we are increasing the temperature, the property of semiconductor is actually closer to the conductor property, then it allows flow of current or the conduction possibilities gets increases in case of semiconductors. That is electricity is allowed to flow through these particular semiconductors either with increasing of temperature or with increasing of applied electric field. So because of that reason, actually semiconductors are very easy to control. Through the semiconductors, it's very easy to control the power or very easy to control the electricity. Because of that reason, semiconductors are used in most of the electronic devices as compared to either insulators or conductors. Of course, you may get actually the doubt, ma'am, as compared to the semiconductor, conductors should have a better conductivity. Why can't you use the conductors? Yes, definitely. Conductor property in case of conductors is very high compared to the semiconductors. But Once we have increased the either applied electricity or increased the temperature, the conducting capability is not in our control, because automatically the conductors or metals should have its own conducting capability in absence of extra electricity or in absence of temperature. In that cases, controlling is not in our hands. It's automatically by nature, it's having more conductivity. That's the reason definitely we may not prefer, even though we have good conducting capability in case of conductors, we may not prefer metals or conductors for devices in electronics. Okay, so for electronic devices, the basic material which is possible to control the electricity or to control the flow of electrons is nothing but semiconductor materials only, but not conductors or insulators. So now we actually discussed what's the reason for choosing the semiconductors. Why not actually insulators or conductors? So with this, it's clear. Of course, conductors, suppose if you want to see the conductors energy band diagram, in what way the conductors energy band diagram means? It's overlapping, like, okay, conduction band will leads to here and valency band will leads to here. With this is an actually the overlapping. Suppose if you consider this one is totally a valency band, okay, and this one is totally up to here. This one is totally conduction band. Okay, the region lies in between these two is an actually the overlapping. That means valency band and conduction band gets overlapped in case of conductors. With this, you are in a position to understand the reason why poor conductivity is exist or poor conduction of electricity is exist in case of insulators, how there is a possibility to have the better controlling of electricity in case of semiconductors, and why we can't prefer the conductors for electronic devices. Okay, this is the basic introduction regarding materials like insulators, semiconductors, and conductors. Okay, in this, with this energy band diagrams of the three basic materials, we are interested to prefer only semiconductor materials for electronic devices. Now let us see. Now we know what's meant by the semiconductor, what's meant by the insulator, what's meant by the conductor, and why you are preferring semiconductors for electronic devices. Is it clear? Yes. Now let us see semiconductors. What are the different types of semiconductor materials we are having? So after completion of the basic materials, then you can see what are the different types of semiconductor materials we are having. Basic semiconductor materials are two types. One is eccentric semiconductor materials. Eccentric semiconductor materials. Second one is intrinsic semiconductor materials. Eccentric semiconductor and intrinsic semiconductor have its own identity and own importance for usage in total electronics, electronics and communications or electronic devices and circuits. See, let us see first. Intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors means a pure form of semiconductors, will call it as intrinsic semiconductors. Okay, let us see, pure form is intrinsic, and what's meant by eccentric? That means eccentric semiconductors, impure form of semiconductor, will call it as eccentric semiconductors. You may get doubt here as a first learners of these electronic devices. Pure form of semiconductor is intrinsic, impure form of semiconductor is eccentric semiconductor materials. Okay, let us see whether pure form of semiconductor we can use it for the for the electronic devices and circuits, or impure form of semiconductor we can use it. What's your answer? Answer might be obviously the pure form, is it? Okay, if it is a pure form means absolutely that answer is wrong. The reason, in general, 24 carats of gold, 22 carats of gold, 20 carats of gold, like this carats is one of the measure for identifying the quality of the gold. In general, for ornaments, which type of gold you can prefer? Either it may be 24 or 22. Obviously not 24. The reason, 24 carats of gold is a pure form of gold without adding of any impurities like a copper to it. Suppose if you reducing that carats like 22 carats, 21 carats, 20 carats of gold, there is a chance to have the remaining carats we are adding copper to that particular ornaments. So 22 carats in general if you prefer, that is 916 gold we'll call it as. Okay, 22 carats consists of gold as well as some copper ratio. If increasing 22 to 24, the copper ratio is very very less, then we have 24 carats of gold. That is pure quantity or pure quality of the gold is more in 24 carats. What it's mean? If you go for 24 carats of gold ornaments, definitely that ornaments may have very less lifetime. That is, breaking capability is more for the 24 carats of gold as compared to the 22 carats of gold ornaments. So the reason we are adding some impurities in order to strengthen this particular uh, quality of the gold. That's the reason the carats 24 to 22 if it is reduced, the strengthening of gold increases by adding of this particular impurities. By keeping this point in mind, now let us come to the conclusion like which type of semiconductors we can use for electronic devices purpose. So either it may be pure form or impure form. See, pure form, why we are not prefer, why you prefer the impure form? Let us see first. Pure form of semiconductor doesn't consist of sufficient number of charge carriers in order to consider for electricity, in order to consider for flow of electricity. That in the sense, number of charge particles like electrons as well as holes should be equal in nature in case of intrinsic semiconductors. Equal in nature means in what way we are denoting that number of charge carriers in semiconductors. Number of charge carriers means number of electrons is equals to number of holes. Whenever number of electrons is equals to number of holes, then there is no question of any majorities of charge carriers appears because both are same. If both are same means there is no question of any what's called dominant of charge carriers lies in the any devices. Okay, so if you go for intrinsic semiconductors, the number of charge carriers like electrons as well as holes should be the same. So if it is the same in the sense, there is no question of any charge particles plays a major role for conducting of electricity in that particular devices. In that case, definitely what to do? What to do means we have to increase charge carrier concentration either electrons or holes. So in this case, definitely we can add some impurities. We can add some impurities. By adding of impurities, that is adding of impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors, we'll call it as an actually that particular semiconductor as eccentric semiconductor. By adding of impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor, we'll get eccentric semiconductors. That eccentric semiconductor, we'll call it as an actually impure form of semiconductor. With this impure form of semiconductor, we are having better controlling capability on any one type of charge carriers. Either it may be electrons or holes. First, let us see electrons and holes. What's the difference between these two? Which particles will call it as an electrons, which particle will call it as an holes. So electron is one of the important particle in the basic materials for placing a major role on conducting of electricity. So what's meant by the hole? That means actually movable charge particle is an electron. Immobile charge particle is a hole. So movable charge particle is an electron means immobile charge particle is a hole, means a hole actually having property of moving nature? No, that is immobile charge carrier, will call it as a hole. It won't actually move from place to the place, but absence of electron from point to the point will consider it as an actually the hole. Whenever, let us see here, suppose if you consider this is an actually the place for electron and this is also place for electron. This is also place for electron. Okay, now whenever electron gets experienced some force on it, then definitely electron have to move from this particular place to the next place. In such cases, suppose if the electron move from here to here, this is actually the electron moment, and this is a vacant place of electron at the time. So electron is moving from here to here. Because of that, this vacancy appears here. This particular vacant place, we'll call it as a hole. Vacant place is a hole. So again, this electron actually move from here to here. Okay. So whenever this electron again moving from here to here, this appears to be vacant place, and this electron also shifted from here to here. Okay, this particular vacant place is also, we'll call it as an actually the hole. Okay, now you got the point. Like movable charge particle. Movable charge particle is an electron. Immobile charge particle is a hole. What is a hole? The vacant place of an electron, we'll call it as a hole. So, with this combination of electrons and holes, whenever we are increasing the concentration of any one charge particles in that particular semiconductor materials, that preparation of semiconductor materials will call it as eccentric semiconductors. Eccentric semiconductors means by adding of impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor materials, we are getting eccentric semiconductor materials. Okay, with this eccentric semiconductor materials only we can make use of it, but not intrinsic semiconductor materials. This is totally the basic information. Why? What's the reason for preferring eccentric semiconductors? Before that, what's the reason for preferring semiconductors for electronic devices? And out of this intrinsic and eccentric semiconductors, the reason for preferring eccentric semiconductors but not intrinsic semiconductors. I hope now it's clear the reason for preferring eccentric semiconductors for electronic devices purpose but not intrinsic semiconductors. Again, you may be having the doubt like what type of impurities you can add for this particular intrinsic semiconductors. Based on adding of impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors, there is a chance to have different types of eccentric semiconductors to be prepared. Suppose if you take the from total elements, pentavalent elements and trivalent elements are there. You know what's meant by pentavalent elements? Pentavalent elements can consist of a number of elements in its valence band or 5, and a number of elements in trivalent impurities or 3. So in case of pentavalent impurities, the number of valence electrons in its valence bands are 5. In trivalent elements, the number of electrons in its valence bands are 3. So whenever we can add the pentavalent elements, that means that elements in its valence bands, 5 electrons are there. That's the reason it's called pentavalent. So 5 electrons are revolving in its valence band of that particular elements. That elements will call it as pentavalent elements. If we add these type of pentavalent elements to the intrinsic semiconductor materials, then 4 electrons out of this 5 electrons of valence bands, 4 electrons gets combined with the intrinsic band structure of atoms. With this 4 electrons gets bonded together, bonded to the already existing atoms. So only 1 electron is actually appears to be free from the bonding. So because of that, each and every electron, whenever it is bonding with the 4 electrons appears in the intrinsic semiconductors, then 1 electron appears to be again free. So because of this, each and every atom here, whenever it releases 1 electron, then that particular number of electrons appears to be more by adding of this pentavalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor materials. With this, the number of electron concentration is appears to be more in the eccentric semiconductors with the adding of pentavalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors. Because of that, increasing of number of electrons in this eccentric semiconductor material, we are naming it as N type of semiconductor. N type of semiconductor means the majority of carriers present in the N type are electrons. Minorities means the less number of charge carriers are holes. That means based on the increasing of type of charge carriers, we named it as N-type. N-type means majority of carriers in that particular semiconductor are electrons. So what's the charge of an electron? It's a negative charge. Charge of an electron is a negative. What's actually the value of that charge? 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulombs. That's the charge of an electron. So because of this negative charge, we'll consider again the name as actually the N-type. Okay, N-type means negative charge particles. With increasing of electrons, we name that particular semiconductor having more negative charge particles. That's the reason we named that semiconductor as N-type of semiconductor. Okay, coming to the actually next type of semiconductor. So now we know how we are generating N-type of semiconductor from intrinsic semiconductors by adding pentavalent impurities to the N-type of semiconductors. Okay, now let us see trivalent impurities. Trivalent impurities means in its valency band it consists of only 3 electrons. 3 electrons, whenever it is combined with this intrinsic semiconductor materials with the 3 electrons with its outer structure, then one vacant place appears in the covalent bonding with the intrinsic semiconductor materials whenever we are adding pentavalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors. So that vacant places we'll call it as actually the hole. Okay. So because of the number of trivalent impurities whenever we are adding to the intrinsic semiconductors, there is a chance to have more number of vacant places of electrons to be released. That vacant places are called as actually the holes. Whenever there is a chance to have number of more holes are coming out, that particular concentration is increasing. That we'll call it as actually hole concentration is increases by adding of trivalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors. In what way we can give the charge for this particular holes? Whenever the electron is moving from that particular place to the another place, that vacant place will call it as an actually hole. That charge of a hole will call it as an actually the positive. Because of this positive, number of holes are more in the eccentric semiconductor by adding of trivalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor. That's the reason, just we'll call it as positive charge carriers are more in the semiconductors. Because of that, this is a P type of semiconductor. Positive charge particles are more by adding of pentavalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors. Because of, trivalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor. With this, the positive charge particles are increasing more as a majority charge particles as compared to the minority charge particles of electrons. Because of that, that particular semiconductor we'll call it as P type of semiconductor. Is it clear? Okay. So now we know what's meant by N type of semiconductor, what's meant by P type of semiconductor. This is totally introduction of electronic devices and circuits. So you know what's meant by the electronics and what type of devices we are having with this particular basic materials of insulator, semiconductor, conductor, then types of semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor, eccentric semiconductor. With this intrinsic and eccentric semiconductors, how we are going to have P type of semiconductors and N type of semiconductors. With this particular P type and N type of semiconductors combinations only, we have different types of electronic devices. Okay, that devices discussion will continue in the next video. This is the first video of electronic devices and circuits. Now I hope you are understanding what is an actually electronics, what is meant by a device, what's meant by circuit, what's the basic difference between circuits and networks, and what are the different types of materials we are having, and why we are preferring the eccentric semiconductors. Out of eccentric semiconductors, how we have N type and P type of semiconductors. Then totally what's its role in electronic devices and circuits, that we'll see in the next video. Like what are the different types of devices, semiconductor devices we are having, in the first unit, and what are the different types of semiconductor devices we are having in the second, third, and fourth units. Similarly, fifth unit is an application part. Like this, I'll discuss in the next class regarding a overview of syllabus and main objective of this particular course of electronic devices and circuits, and basically what are the outcomes of this electronic devices and circuits also we'll discuss in the next class. I mean next video. Okay, thank you.